everybody, and welcome to the Wealthy Lala Show with myself, Laurie Larson. Today is episode 197 2, and I am back. I am back from the Dr. Joe Dispenza Niagara Falls 2019 week-long advanced program. All right, so as you can tell, I do have a bit of what I would call a cold. Um, Grateful to know, like Dr. Joe said, that this is very common after a week like that, that you can have, you know, your body release things. I really get for me, I changed like so much. Oh man, but it's more than just that. It's like I changed my inner state more than anything. What I've noticed since I've been home is that things that used to just automatically bother me and were a lot harder to handle, um, I don't have this reaction in my body. Oh my God, it's amazing. Um, I may catch the reaction a bit in my head, but I know what to do with it now, and I know what that creates. Um, when I was, given a diagnosis 19, 20 years ago. Yeah, 19 years ago. After doing a year's worth of the, healthcare system and stuff like that, like I just remember asking myself, and I don't know where it came from, but it was just something within me that just said, uh, nobody's asking me how I'm doing. Like they're treating my body, but nobody's actually asking me how I'm doing. And of course, that's not something that really like it's talked about, but it's not really embraced. We're taught largely that our body is this lump of bones, skin, you know, organs, muscles, and everything, and that you either cut it out or give it some pills, or but you do something with the actual physical body to change the body. And what I got to really learn, I knew on an intuitive level there was much more to it, but I'm blown away with what I learned this past week about the connection to our thoughts and what that creates in our worlds. What it creates with the things that we come up against, what it creates with what we create in our life, what it creates with our bodies, what it creates with our relationships. Uh, it goes way farther than I really got before. I am personally grateful, super grateful that I basically have been studying, Dr. Joe's work for probably about a year and a half now. I probably found him a couple years ago. And yeah, it's so interesting. I'm I'm looking at this picture, so I'm recording this on Zoom right now, and there's a picture of me that it's a really beautiful picture, and it's like I'm looking at me with this big smile on my face. So, like what I was saying about, about a year into my journey after being diagnosed and having that question in my world, jeepers, I wonder what, I wonder what else. I wonder what it is about my mental health. And I've been on this search, and I've done a lot of different things. And what I learned, when I was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days into the workshop, I was like, I found what I was looking for, what I knew was out there. And the way Dr. Joe put it is, it's like you find something that's ancient within you that you just know, but yet you didn't know. And so this past week for me created the knowing. I get that my like things won't ever be the same. Like unless I want to go back to the old reacting. Like if I want to choose that, I certainly could. But there's a real muscle, you know? And he talks about this like when you take two cells and you have them overlap a little bit, you know, there's that part that overlaps. So, like when we connect with someone who, you know, we're talking about the breakup with our boyfriend or we're talking about our illness and we're relating and we're connecting on that, it's like we form a bond. Well, not like we do, we do. We form this bond. And so neurons that fire together wire together. So it's like if we're like two people, and you know, do me a favor, please, 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 if you're interested in this at all, please read Dr. Joe's work. I'm explaining it from my perspective. I'm not teaching it here. I'm coming from my level of understanding. And but when you have two cells that are overlapping because they're connecting, could be with your partner, your spouse, your neighbor, your mother, you know, anybody, and you have this overlapping and you realize you've been choosing a behavior that may not be kind to you know, bitching and whining, um, complaining about your body, complaining about the neighbors. And, you know, for me, one of the things I got to discover this weekend was snoring. Excuse me here, just a sec. So, with the snoring, like what I really heard Dr. Joe say, so before I say more about the snoring, and the snoring is just a really good example of anything that we can use. But like Dr. Joe was talking with us and saying that if you allow anything, your body, the neighbor, your husband snoring, the weather, and I could go on, if you allow any of that to take away your happiness, you're allowing yourself to be a victim to something else. Now, you can imagine in this room, and I may not come back to the snoring because I'll come at it from a different way. We were in this room. So this was the largest class that he's ever facilitated or taught. There were 1,650 of us in the room. And we were doing meditations. And so you're up close and personal to the person next to you. And I had experiences where I sat next to somebody with body odor. I sat next to a lady who had Parkinson's, and I was on the side that her tremors are. I sat next to someone who was snoring. See, there you go. There's the snoring again. I sat next to someone who her body was having reactions to the processes with the meditations, with the energy that was being created in her body. And she kind of flailed out a little bit and she bumped me. And the funny thing is I was on one side of the aisle and she was on the other side of the aisle. So I have no idea what she was doing, but she was busy. And what I heard over and over and over again with Dr. Joe is that when we allow others our lives, the weather, the snoring, the room that's too cold, the room that's too hot, um, the rain, the wind, when we allow that to impact us and rob us of our oneness, our wholeness, our joy, our happiness, our love, we are actually robbing ourselves of that. So, and so why is this important? Well, I loved it because he probably said it 10 times before I heard him. But he said we're all a living organism. We're one living organism. And when I learned how much we impact the other people around us, good, bad, and ugly, like really, really, really impact other people around us, that we actually, our brainwaves, our neurons will entrain to the people that are around us. When I got to get the understanding to the depth that I did this past week. When I take care of me, what I discovered this week is that I then was filled up with so much joy, so much gratitude that wasn't like fake gratitude. It was that gratitude that comes from the inside out. And I'm sure, like if you're listening, at some point in time in your life, you've had a moment like that. Like, I remember when I held my first grandson, first grandchild, first grandson, when I held him, I remember having this immense amount of gratitude. And at the time, which was 3 years ago, I had some awareness that the gratitude was mine. But I largely felt like the gratitude was because of him. Well, actually, the gratitude was mine. So again, so we can make ourselves a victim to our lives. And so we think that outside of ourselves is the, is the things at us, right? And then we think circumstances and things outside of ourselves is also what creates our happiness and our joy. And so it was kind of interesting because when I got on the plane to come home last night, WestJet informed everybody on the plane, we're already on the plane, everybody's loaded, and they say, sorry, but the WestJet Wi-Fi, so therefore movies and everything is not working. It's out of commission for that particular flight or however long. And, I heard a lady behind me really, really angry. And that's another thing that I'm noticing is I have like I had a lot more less judgment myself of her, like, oh, well, she shouldn't say that. She should have been prepared. And but then I'm judging her judgment, right? And I noticed that I didn't choose that. And that was really cool. Now, and what I know now too, this thing that Dr. Joe taught us is if you actually go into your heart, and at the beginning of the week, I couldn't feel my heart. By the end of the week, I could feel my heart. I could feel the energy in my heart. And so you go into your heart, and I'll start with, like, if I can't find it at first, I'll think of one of my grandbabies. I will. I'll think of those. Oh, magical. Oh my God. Those Niagara Falls. Do you know what was so cool? On a side note, you guys, when you go to the Canadian side, you can only see the American side from afar, but you can walk up to the Canadian side. Did you know when you go to the US side, you can walk up to the US side? You can go over a bridge and onto this little island that's called Goat Island. You can walk right up to the Canadian Falls. Like people always say, well, the Canadian Falls are more beautiful. Well, maybe so, but you can see both of them right up close, right there, right there, right there when you're on the American side. It was incredible. So, like you guys, like when I'm talking right now about the falls, yes, the falls is something that I'm thinking about that's cultivating a sense of gratitude and joy and love in my heart. And if I allow that love and joy and gratitude to stay within my heart, bring it within me, really be aware of it within me. Imagine if you were to take that through your day, not attached to anything, so that when you sit on the plane and you hear a person complain, you're just like, oh man, you know, I don't want to do any kind of emotion that takes away this beautiful feeling within me. And then, and this is way more for another show, or get one of Dr. Joe's books, like really, 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 people. When you then imagine your energy out, you put your awareness out all the way around you. He calls it the void, he calls it the field. But you just imagine, while you've got this feeling in your heart, and you're tapping into this love and joy and gratitude, you expand yourself out, your energy out, your awareness out, and you expand it and expand it and expand it. Just keep going, keep going. That field is where all the potentials and possibilities are. That is where everything that you want is, in the nothingness. Like, say what? I know. I tell you, you guys, I am seeing that it's already 16 minutes, but what I'm going to tell you is that just with that little bit I just shared with you, play with it. I did that yesterday a couple times, even with like the lady on the plane, but not in a superior way, like I'm better than her, I'm going to expand out into the void and cultivate some gratitude and make her change. No, it comes from a kindness and a beauty to care for the living organism. Oh God, you guys, I could probably talk for days about this. I found what I was looking for in this class. And I found what I was looking for, and I really found that I found me. I found my joy. I found my gratitude. And I get, like, this isn't going to be an end point. There's still going to be things that are going to come up. There's things that are still going to impact me. And it's like Dr. Joe says, even he reacts. It's just catching yourself. And how long do you react? And then bring yourself back to yourself. Ah, if I could share, oh man, you guys, I just wish I could if I could share anything and then you could get it, I would wish that for you. The possibility of having a beautiful life connected to yourself. Anyways, oh, you guys, gotta go. We'll see how tomorrow's show goes. I'll probably still do a mini reading because it'll be fun with this kind of energy. Anyways, you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and take care.